Welcome back to my channel Excel is Magical. Today in this video you're going to learn how to find top n and bottom n values in a range of numbers. And if there are any duplicates in these numbers, we will learn how to skip these duplicates and get the unique top and bottom values. Alright, let's get into an Excel sheet to explore this. Let's first learn how to find the largest value in some range of data. For that, I have some information on the sheet wherein column L has product name and column M has total revenue earned by those products. This is 77 products information here. Let's find out the top three largest value in this range of revenues. Of course, you can find more than three largest as well. First, let me start with getting the largest value in this range. To do that, I use Excel's built-in function large, L-A-R, large. So you find large function here. So let me just pick that function, large. Large function has two arguments. One is array, the second argument is k. So let me first start with array. Array is a range of values where you're finding the largest value. So it is the revenue array, right? So I'll start with cell M2 and then I pick the entire range. So I press Shift Control down arrow. And because I want the same range to be used to find the second and third largest value as well, I fix this range by pressing F4. My range is now fixed and I write comma. Now my first argument is done and the second argument is to tell large which largest value you are going to get. Is it first or second or third or whatever? That can be told by this argument k. It's basically asking for kth value, kth largest value to be found in this array. So because I need the first largest value here, so I'll write either 1 or I can also use the cell reference so that if I want to get my second, third, fourth largest value, I can just drag this formula. All right. So I've picked the cell O3 here. Then I close the bracket for this function. Now I hit enter. There we go. So we got the top largest value, that is 84910. So if I want to get the second and the third, I just drag this. All right. And now my function is showing me the second largest and the third largest value in this range. Let's try changing some information here to test whether it is really working fine. So let me try changing this to some other number higher than the top one. Let me write 1 lakh here. Enter. Now my topmost value is 1 lakh. Let me change this to 94,000. So the second largest is 94,000. Let me change one of these values to 96,000. You could see this is dynamic. My second largest is 96. The third largest is 94,000. So as of now, this function is working perfectly all right. Same way, let us also learn how to find the smallest values in a range of value. Like we have large, we do also have a function by name small. So let's use small to find the bottommost value and the second smallest and the third smallest, like that. I'll be writing equals to small. Like large had two arguments, small also has two arguments. The first argument is the array, so I'll be using this range like I use for large. All right. So, and I also have to fix this range. So F4, comma, kth value. So right now I need the smallest value, that is 1. Right. So O40, close the bracket, hit enter. Maybe the smallest value in this range is 0. So I got this as 0. Now I drag this. So I have 48.75 is my second smallest value. And the third smallest value is 112. Just like we tested for largest, let us also test the smallest value. So I'll change some value. Maybe let's find out where is 0 there. So this is 0. Let me just change this to something else. I'll write 100. So my smallest should not be 0 now. It is 48.75. So now I have written 2 here. You could see my bottommost value is 2. Second smallest is 48.75. So let me just write 6 here. So my second smallest is 6. The third smallest, let me change it to 10. It is 10 now. So it's working perfectly right. So this is how you can find out the top 3 and bottom 3 values of a range. And what if there are any duplicates in these numbers like this? You can see these numbers are repeating here. And I only want to pull unique values as my top largest and bottom least from them. Let's learn what's the logic in this. So currently there are no duplicates in this. All are unique values. So we are getting the topmost, the second largest and the third largest here. Let me try changing one of the value to be a duplicate value. I'll copy this value, Control C, and I paste it somewhere here, Control V. Now look at that. When I have a duplicate value in my range, my topmost value is that value and the second largest is also the same. Now in case you don't need this, you wanted only the unique values to be shown as the top values, you have to follow some logic for that. So let us just learn how exactly to take care of this. Here I have just created one more column where I have copied the same formula, whatever formula I have written here. Alright, just that instead of using a cell reference, I have written the kth value. So that is here kth value is 1, that's the top largest value, and this is 2, the second largest value, and this is 3. So I have not kept the reference, I have just kept the values here. Let me undo now and bring back the unique values in my raw data. So currently I have each of these values coming once, right? I just made a supporting column. So let me write down how many times each of these values are repeated. Right now it is repeated once, this is also once, and this is also once. Because it is repeating once, I am getting my formula working perfectly fine. Now if I have a duplicate, that means if I copy this somewhere here, so that means it is repeated twice. 1 lakh is repeated twice, so it is shown again. Now what I need to do is, if my largest value is repeated 2 times, my second largest value will not be second largest, it will be the third largest, correct? So right now because it is saying 2, my second largest in this range is again 1 lakh, it brings me that. We should actually bypass that second largest value. How's that? We need to bring this value and then increment that by 1. So that means it is the third largest value. If it is repeating twice, don't show me the second, show me the third. So now I close the bracket, I hit enter. Now look at that, I get not the 1 lakh, I get something else. So now if it is repeating thrice, so I just go copy somewhere else, I just paste it. Now I go change this to 3, enter. Now you could see the unique second largest value here. Now one thing is clear, if I get the count of how many times my first largest value is repeated and I increment that with 1, I always get my next unique largest value, right? So same way, let's also fix the third largest unique value as well. Let me go to the cell Q5 here, this cell. I see it is 3. So what I need to do here is I need to erase this. See how many times my first value is repeated and second value is repeated. Get the sum of that and increment by 1. So currently it is this plus 1. 3 plus 1, 4, and increment by 1, that is 5, correct? So I type 5 here and close. I get my unique third largest value. So, but this is as of now completely manual. We need to automate this. How will I do that? So I go here. I have to just change this R3 and use sum function which sums R3 to R3. Why do I do that? When this formula is being dragged, R3 to R3 should change to R3 to R4. So here I write SUEM, bracket open. I click on this cell R3 and type colon. So I get R3 to R3, close the bracket. So here let it be R3 to R3, but when this formula gets copied to the next cell, it should not be R3 to R3, it should be R3 to R4. That is, sum this to this and increment by 1. So for that, I have to fix this cell R3. So I fix this cell F4. I press F4 and fix this cell and I press enter. Now look at this. I drag this formula here. So it's working perfectly fine. So for example, let us say 1 lakh repeats 4 times now. So I'll try somewhere else. I'll just write 1 lakh, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, right? And because 1 lakh is there 4 times here, I'll go and change this to 4. Now you could see my second unique largest and third unique largest values are properly coming up. And now you might be wondering, should I need to type this always? No, we have just done this to understand the concept. Now let us make this dynamic as well. What I simply do, I just delete this. All right. I use an Excel function which helps me to count how many times this is being repeated in my range of data. So for that, I use Excel's built-in function countIf. So I'll write equals to countIf. Let me pick that function by pressing tab. So I got my function. This function has 2 arguments, range. The range is a place where you are counting something. Currently, this is the revenue column. Let me select column M. Put a comma, criteria. What is that you are trying to count in this column? It will be this value, right? So I go click on that cell. I'm basically counting how many times this value is repeating in column M. So I close the bracket now and I hit enter. You could see I get this total count of this value. Now when I copy this formula for the other cells, you'll see this first largest, second largest and the third largest value here. That is unique. It's not only for 3, you can continue for 4th, 5th, 6th by just copying this formula here. See, I just go copy this formula for some more. That is for 4th, 5th and 6th largest. I can have this n number of times. If I have this value, say 1 lakh, okay, then some more times, it should not bother here. Say not only this, I'll have 94,000 many times, Control C. I'll just keep pasting this many times. My 3rd, 4th, 5th, 6th unique values still remain same. And now let's follow the same step to find the bottom 3 unique values as well. Let's start with COUNTIF formula first. So I go here, equals to COUNTIF. So I hit tab to pick this function. Like we saw, there are 2 arguments here, the range and the criteria. The range will be again same, that is revenue column. So I click on column header M, put a comma. The criteria would be how many times this is repeating. This particular value is repeating. So I click on that and I close the parenthesis or the brackets. Hit enter. Now I copy this formula. So I could see right now each of these values are repeating once. Same way I go here and I fix the kth value as well. For the bottommost value, let it be 1. But for the second least value, I have to use the sum function like I used earlier. So I'll write SU. So I pick this function, tab, and the argument for sum function will be range R14 to R14. So I have to click on R14, type colon. So I get one more time R14 and I need to fix the beginning reference by pressing F4. I close the brackets now, right? And this has to be incremented by 1, right? Plus 1 like I did earlier. So now I close the bracket for the small function and I hit enter. And I copy this for the next cell as well. So let us see whether this works fine if I have a repetition of these values. So 2, let us say it comes 2 times. So no problem. So it comes 2 times. My second least unique value is 6 here. So if I have many times as well, it should not trouble us. Not only the smallest value, if I have the 6 as well multiple times, right? So it is not troubling my results at all here. Now you could see the same formula works for more requirements as well, like bottom 3 or bottom 10 or bottom 20 or whatever it is. So if I just drag this for more, you could see fourth least, fifth least, sixth least, seventh least, and so on. Hope this video was helpful and thank you so much for watching this. If you have liked this video, give a thumbs up, and if you want to watch more videos from me, please do not forget to subscribe to the channel. Excel is Magical by Shakil.